Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Carol here at Oak House Journals, and a big warm welcome to everybody as always. Thank you so much for joining me today, and what I'd like to show today is my traditional Christmas journal that I've just finished making. Now, you know that I had a bit of a dilemma when I saw Chapter 1 Snowy Christmas Garden digital kit. I was bowled over by that and wanted that as my Christmas journal for this year, and then they brought out this kit and I fell in love with this one too, so I've ended up making two this year. So the details for the kits that I've used are in the description box down below as always, but just very quickly let me show you the kits. This is the main kit that I've used, their traditional Christmas moments kit. Excuse me. And as you can see, beautiful images and lots of elements that you can chop out and use in your journal. And that's exactly what I've done. You'll see that I've chopped out loads of things like the holly and the labels. This page I absolutely adored. I love that you've got multiple orientations of this image dotted all over the page, so you can equally use it that way as well as that way. So really love that. This page I so want to make a tag using that portion. Just gorgeous, and these lovely deer, lovely focal images, but also plenty of background, lovely background scripts to use, and you'll see that I've used that image in the journal. That's another page. This page, I've used so much off this page throughout the journal. It's unbelievable. So those are the coloured pages. And then, sorry, that's not, well, you get 3 pages of text, as you can see, like this. And again, lots and lots of images that you can use. And this is one of those pages that I've printed off two to a page, and the whole purpose of this little journal was so that I could use these images printed two to a page without doing any paper piecing or work to make them fit the journal. So that was the main kit, the traditional Christmas moments. Then I also used this kit, which is their vintage Christmas postcards. Now these are just stunning, and you get 14 pages of these. I absolutely love vintage images of Father Christmas and Santa Claus, but I know not everybody does. So there is so much in terms of variety in the images that they've used. They've used some Christmas cards, some book images, some postcards, and I like that you get them in various sizes as well, dotted throughout the kit. More of the traditional Santa, and it just goes on and on. If you like angels, you've got angels. If you like calling cards, Victorian style calling cards, you've got those. Just beautiful little vintage envelopes here, and there's some more there. Now this is just what I've got left over. I've got oodles and oodles of cards in my journal, and I've got all of this left over. So what I decided to do, or what I will be doing, is I've got an idea to use these traditional Santa images. I thought what I would do is I'd take some more of this beautiful wide satin ribbon and tie a multi-looped bow with some long tails hanging down, 2 or 3 feet at least for the tails. And then, like people do with their Christmas cards, what I thought I would do is I would put these images down the ribbon. Now normally when people attach their Christmas cards to their ribbon, they either staple them or they clip them on. But what I thought I would do is I've printed off these images just on 100 GSM cardstock. And what I thought I would do is I would back them with some slightly heavier weight card, and I'm going to sandwich the ribbon between the image and the backing, and then stitch all the way around it, and then put my next image a little lower and then the next one a little lower, so that I've got all these images going down my ribbon. And I just thought that that would be lovely, because these colours will be beautiful against that red ribbon. So that's what I plan to do as part of our Christmas decoration here at home. And then moving on, this is the other kit that I've used. Now this is the Chapter 1 Christmas Stamps kit. Now you've seen me show this before, but what I particularly like about faux stamps is that you can use them for so much. As I've told you, I use them as tag toppers. I put a bit of glossy accent on, punch them with my crocodile, put a jump ring through, and have them as little tag toppers. There's a little Christmas tree that I think you could just about make out that I've put some glossy accents on. You can use them as page tabs, you can use them as the centre embellishments, you can use them on the back of envelopes as closures. But the reason I love this particular kit is that the images all complement what's in the traditional Christmas Moments kit and also in the vintage Christmas postcards kit. And it's absolutely lovely. Now I haven't printed out all of this kit. This is just one page that I've got left. This is another page where I've printed it out two to a page. So those are the three kits that I've used in my little Christmas journal. And let me run through it very quickly with you. Size wise, it's 14 centimetres by 20 centimetres, which is a piece of A4 paper folded in half. So any of those images, any of those pages rather, in the digital kit, when it prints out on an A4 sheet of paper, if you print out two to a page, those images will fit perfectly onto my cover. So I wanted something this time where there was no paper piecing, and it was just absolutely easy. Trim, stick, stitch and go. Really easy. So that's what I've done. This is one of the images. As I say, this is my favourite page. Printed off two to a page, and all I've done is I've glued it and stitched it onto my base, which is just heavyweight cardstock, 200 gram I think I used. Might be slightly heavier, might be something like 250, but I just printed it out, glued it on and stitched it. But what I did was I sandwiched my ribbon between the cover and my decorative piece of or paper. As you can see, I haven't done it here on the back, and that was a mistake. I got carried away when I was gluing and stitching this backing page onto the cover that I forgot to put the ribbon between it. So all I wanted to do was have a little bit of red ribbon here showing, but I didn't. So what I've done is I've stitched it there and I've put some lace down the edge. Now you could use this at the back here as a tuck spot for something to go in behind it if you wanted to, like so. I'm not going to, I'm just going to leave it like that. This is one of the vintage postcards. As I say, I've used them throughout the kit. I've used that kit throughout the journal, so I'm not going to keep on repeating that. But what I did do is I used one of the images off the page, fussy cut, and I've put a bit of glossy accents on there. I've used one of the text pages, as I call it, to create a border around the outside of my postcard. I've used some of the images, again, off one of the pages, and fussy cut them out to create these holly decorations here. Just a piece of lace, and I've put some silk, green silk behind, just to make that lace stand out a little bit. And then I used a vintage button that, can you see, it's just shot through with glitter, and it just gives a very soft gold hint. And the reason I wanted to use that was to pick up these colours here that's dotted around on this back cover. So that was that. Up here in the corner you can see there's a random eyelet. Another happy accident, maybe not. I was going to put this fir cone through that. And when I came to do it, I decided I didn't like the look, so I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to leave that eyelet there as decoration. And then on my signature threads, where I stitched it with 5-hole pamphlet stitch, I've just put a couple of red jingly bells. This is wide satin ribbon. I couldn't find for the life of me any bright red sari silk. I even tried dyeing it myself and it just didn't take well at all. So I had this ribbon in my stash from previous Christmases. It was a little bit stiff, so all I did was I popped it in some warm water overnight with a good slug of fabric softener. We have Comfort and Lenore, just the stuff that you put in your washing machine, and this has softened it up beautifully, so I'm quite happy with how that feels now. So going inside, very simple journal, this one. I just wanted the papers to sing out on their own. So here's one of the text pages, printed out 2 to a page. Everything is printed out 2 to a page. So I've just popped that in there, and as you can see, it fits perfectly. You don't need to trim or anything. Again, one of the images off one of the pages, I've cut it out, stitched it onto my page, and put some glossy accents on it. There's a lot of glossy accents dotted around here, as you can see, and just made a tuck spot with it. Again, these are one of the vintage postcards, and they're just gorgeous. I had to stop myself using glossy accents everywhere because these images just cry out for it, really, I think. But I had to stop myself. I kept on saying less is more. But all I did was stitch round. I haven't even done any inking in this this journal. I've tried to leave it very, very simple. There's a side tuck here with another one of the postcards. I've done a little bit of layering up here. One of these images from the page, one of the pages, I chopped out, fussy cut the top, and I've bedded it onto some vintage lace. As you can see throughout the kit, there are these label images, and I had some Denison labels in my stash, so I've just put another one on top just to add a little bit of layering and dimension there. And then this was a tiny Christmas tree charm that I had, and I just used my pliers and I snipped off the ring at the top, and it's just glued on my page with some glossy accents. So that's all I've done there. Here again is another one of those circles, and again all I've done is chopped one out and put some glossy accents on it. And actually, as I'm looking at it now, because this is a pocket behind here, that would have been lovely as one of those peephole windows with some acetate in it, but that'll have to be for another day. So this page here, this has a flip here, and in the end is a pocket with just some green organza ribbon that I thought kind of matched the journal, and a lobster clasp with a little tiny silver jingle bell, and that goes in that end pocket like so. And then behind it in here is a corner tuck spot, and here's one of the postcards with Santa. Now if I hold this up, you will be able to see that this is a huge corner tuck spot, because my page is actually, if I show you here, here and here. So this bit is a piece that's been added on to create this tuck spot and also this end flip, if you will. Now I could have made this into a top pocket and done it that way, and even had a tuck spot behind it, but I just wanted to keep things simple, so it is a plain tuck spot just behind there, like so. Okay, so going over my page, whoops a daisy, I have another side tuck spot here with a journaling card, and then this is some of the backing paper. text backing paper. And again, this kept on calling out to me. I wanted to put another piece on top there and almost have another tuck spot in there, but again I kept on crying out, less is more, less is more. And then we have, because this is the centre of the journal, we have some pages for writing on. So this effectively would be my single signature inside the journal. So here I've just used one of the computer generated numbers that I created for my Snowy Christmas Garden journal. I had this left over, so I wanted to use it, and that's just printed on some vellum. Then this is a carol book with the words to Christmas carols in. This is a piece of Stamperia paper that I wanted to use up, and again another vintage Christmas postcard rather, and then this one is another one as well. Just look at that image. I think it's lovely. He looks a real jolly soul, doesn't he, with the reindeer chasing after him, and look at this tiny little bunny tucked in the corner there watching him through the grasses. Just lovely. So they go in the side pocket there. This is just tea stained paper, and I've just stitched around it a couple of times on my sewing machine. This is the only thing really in here that isn't one of the vintage postcards. This is a tag I made a couple of days ago, just with a botanical image of some holly. I love that image, and I wanted to put a jingle bell on it to match up the red berries. But this is one of the faux stamps that I was telling you about, and as you can see, it just makes just a perfect little tag topper or tag dangle, simply just threaded through with a jump ring. Again, another snippet from one of the pages, again touched over with the glossy accents. I've just put a little green tag behind it, and this is another one of the faux stamps from the Christmas stamps kit. So that I've just got attached with a single paper clip. And then on this side, this is, I love this paper. Well, it's almost thin cardstock. And this was from some crackers that we had last Christmas. When we pulled our crackers, we had all these lovely pieces of thin cardstock left over, and I snaffled it and saved it. So I've just stitched around it and included it in here. Just love the images, and I thought the colours went well as well. Another one of the numbers that I've computer generated, printed on vellum as a corner tuck spot. This is one of the vintage postcards. And I just wanted that to go behind, to sit behind that number 25. Oh, now this, you will see in here, there are a couple of pieces that I've taken from my Chapter 1 Christmas folio, and I started using them, and it was hard, I tell you. The bulk of the folio is just to one side here. I'm still looking and stroking it, excuse me, but there were some pieces that I just wanted to put in here, and this was one of them, this lovely holly image. I think it's just beautiful. So I've stitched that to the page with some zigzag stitch. This is one of the vintage postcards. This was a piece of vintage carol music. Again, I've used one of the postcards to make a little tuck spot, and I'm completely off camera, aren't I? Another little tuck spot down in this corner. And this piece, oh, you can probably, if you saw my unboxing of the Christmas folio, you will recognise this. This is absolutely exquisite. So this is, look at that, the Christmas wreath that was in there, and oh, look at that. It is an embossed wreath, and as you can see, it's been either, I'm not sure if this is silver paint or silver flakes, but it is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So I definitely wanted to use it in this journal. Absolutely lovely. This book page is from A Christmas Carol, and that was also in the folio. And then again, I've used some of the images from the vintage postcards for there. I've turned at the bottom of that vintage book page to create a pocket down there. This is some parchment paper. This is a first day cover for Christmas stamps for 30th of November 1984. All I did with this one was I backed it with some of the paper from the kit that I used on the front cover. I've put a little embellishment here on a label, and that's again one of the images cut out from one of the pages, and in here is another one of the vintage postcards. And this is the centre of my signature, and my stitching is obviously trapped inside my envelope. I just very carefully opened it out. Normally we do it along this bottom edge, don't we? Well, I just did it along the side for something different, and stitched my signature in place and then glued up my envelope. And then with my threads, I've just put a couple of little jingle bells on the bottom. So parchment paper, and this is the reverse, obviously, of the signature. So a couple more of the greeting cards in the vintage Christmas Carol book page. One of the images I've just glued to the centre of the page because I just thought the colours were perfect. And another little tuck spot down here. Season's greetings, just clipped to the page. And then this is one of the Santa images. And all of these I've just stitched around the outside. I haven't inked them. I've just backed them onto tea stained paper or some recycled card, whichever took my fancy. Oh, this pocket. I love this pocket. This was a piece that was in my Christmas folio, and it's snowflakes. I think they're snowflakes, embossed. And it was just a strip of paper, perfect size for this little journal. So I've popped it in here. Then there's this little tiny red tag. All I've done here is put a silver snowflake on it, and I've glued the top half of the tag up here. So you could use it as a tuck spot if you wanted to, but I just wanted to leave it very, very simple. Here's another one of the vintage postcards. I mean, these are just exquisite, really are. And then this piece came out of my Christmas folio, and look at this. I love this. This printing onto really, really fine, well, it might be parchment paper, but it feels almost like tissue paper. It really is gorgeous. Look at that. And then some handmade paper here. You flip it over and you've got this beautiful cut edge down here, and then it makes a journaling piece of journaling paper. And I just thought it had to go in here. At first I was just going to pop it in like so, and leave it sticking out, really simple, but actually I quite like tucking it down below just to protect that lovely printed piece there, and just to have that popping out so that the colours go across my page. And this is almost like a little wee surprise that you find when you lift that up. I know, daft, but I kind of like those things. Another little piece of Stamperia paper, or the other half of that Stamperia paper that I wanted to use. Just love that image of a Christmas tree. And just look at this. I think of everything, this has to be my favourite vintage postcard. I just love it. One of Santa's elves, tubby little chap, just filling those stockings that are hooked to the mantelpiece. And look, he's even stood on a stool there to reach. I just love that image, really do. So definitely had to include that. And then across the top of this piece of paper was this piece, and it had a postal mark on it, if you can see, just red there. So I liked that, and I didn't want to lose it. So I had this button, plastic button, in my stash. It's of an angel blowing a horn, and it has a loop, or it had a loop on the back of the button. I just snipped that off, filed it down using an emery board, and I've glued it onto that little piece of remnant card from the top of this piece on my page here, and it is a tuck spot. If you want to use it, you can push something up underneath the angel, as you can see, because it's just glued on those edges. But I just thought that made quite a nice embellishment, and this is supposed to be there. It's a coffee stain when I was tea staining and coffee staining my papers, so I just quite like that blotch there, so I've left it there. Here we have another 2 vintage postcards that I've made into a tuck spot and its inclusion, and we have another one on the other side of the page. This one I've left plain, I haven't used glossy accents on it. Here's the other side of the Christmas Carol hymn book, and then this is a flap that I've created here. It's a top pocket, and this is my card in the top pocket. Again, some more of the green organza just tied through an eyelet, and then I've used a silver pine cone, and I don't know why I wanted to include that one, because you can see the size of it compared to this one, and it's much better keeping it all dainty, I think, and in proportion. So that goes in this top pocket up here, and I can get it in with the pine cone just popping over the top like so. This flips open, and then this is, again, as you can see, some of the paper that I've just taken across 2 pages there. You've got a side tuck there. This is vintage postcard again, with images of mistletoe and a robin, and again a faux stamp that I've just used as a little dangle through an eyelet at the top of the page, and some more of that organza green ribbon, and that just goes in there like so. Beautiful. I love how you pick up the green. Let me show you here in this corner, and it just flows across. So Chapter 1 have thought of everything when they make these kits. They really do. Their attention to detail is really what sells me every time with their kits. It doesn't take much to see these things when you look at their kits and you think, oh, I can use that. And I mean, you could even just chop that piece out and you've got the backing for one of their vintage postcards or another image to create your own little postcard. It's just lovely. It's just lovely. So over the page, again, another text page, and all I've done here is put a piece of vellum across the bottom that I've embossed with some snowflakes. I haven't touched these with anything. That's just how they emboss through, so they come through slightly white where the vellum has stretched, but I like that subtle image across the bottom. And then, as you can see, I've just fussy cut some holly from one of the pages, and some more there. That's 2 or 3 bunches that I've just fussy cut and glued onto my vellum pocket, but also up the side page as well to take it up. And then love this little image. Look at this, absolutely gorgeous, so cute. And then this is another one. I chose this one to go in this pocket because this one's got a slight grey edging to it. And if you look at the back here, there's some slight grey splotches. And then round this card, you've got a slight fawny colour, which is picked up in behind the wording and on the edges there. So again, as I say, it all blends beautifully without any effort on my part. Chapter 1, think of everything. This is, again, that main page that I fell in love with. And all I did to create this envelope was to print it back to back with one of the text pages, and then just do 2 folds in the horizontal orientation to create the simplest of envelopes. And that's literally all I've done. I folded the bottom piece up, top piece down, got the size that I wanted, snipped a bit off the edges and stitched it. So you couldn't be easier. I've used 2 of the faux stamps, one glued on the front and another one that was the same size I've glued on the back there. And I have stitched around my envelope, and then in the pocket again some more of these lovely vintage postcards. So they go in my pocket there. I don't need to magnetize that, it stays closed quite nicely. And then behind I've created a tuck spot, and there's my lovely little elf again. He's obviously been caught bringing his sack of toys into the house. I kind of imagine this as the owner of the house having got out of bed, hearing a noise and realising it was one of Santa's helpers. Love that image as well. Don't know where the girls got it, but I do love that. And then this lovely Christmas tidings vintage postcard. So those 2 live in the back pocket. And then all I did on the edge here is make sure that the piece of lace that I put on the back just peeps over. So I've just got a little decorative edge down there. So that's my journal, everybody. I do hope you liked me sharing her with you. Really, really easy. As I say, the whole purpose of this journal was to make sure that I could print my pages to a page and not have to fuss too much with trying to make sure they fit, and it works really, really well. What I will do is I will put a video up showing you how I've made the base journal. I'm not going to do a blow-by-blow or step-by-step, I should say, video of how I've embellished and decorated it. But if I just show you how I've done the covers and the pages inside, it's really, really easy, and we all know how to decorate pages. And if you really want to do exactly the same thing, you can see which pages in the Chapter 1 Papers kit I've used. So you can follow that from this video, I think. So once I show you how I've done the cover and the inside pages, then that's all I'm going to do. I'll leave the rest to you. And actually, all it is 2 pages in here. It might look like there's a lot more, but in reality, when I show you, it is actually only two pages, and they're stitched together with a signature in the middle. Really, really easy. So there we go, everybody. Thank you so much for letting me share this little project with you. I hope you enjoyed seeing it, and thank you for joining me and spending some time with me today. I hope you've managed to find some time yourself for crafting today. Bye bye, everybody. Take care.